Right, I gotta tune this car. So, guy sent me an email. Said his 18WX needed a tune, but I had a problem. So I told him to take it to Tier 1. Tier 1 looked at it and they said, oh, it just needs a tune. So I said, oh, sweet. All right, well, then I'll just come in and we'll get that banged out. Well, guess what? Chase was wrong. It didn't need a tune. I mean, it did, but it had a cam sensor problem. He said that it took a long time to start. So I looked at the codes and it had a P0340. Well, it's either the cam sensor or the wiring. Let's figure it out. So I put it, well, I didn't do it. I told Tanner to please do it. He put a cam sensor in it. Problem did not go away. So then he started peeling back the wires and noticed that they had been pinched at some point and found broken wires in the cam sensor. So Tanner fixed the broken wires, and ta-da-da, it works. Yay! So it starts right away instead of taking forever. These things would just crank. Now you may have heard it start on camera. I'm pretty sure I started after I started the stream, but it's on cold start right now, and it's not very loud. It's not very loud at all, so that's good news. You see, just kicked on for some reason. A little bit of modification to the timing during the post start, and these things get a lot quieter. These things are really, really bad. What's up, Curtis? These things are really, really bad for their cold start volume and theatrics with the pops and bangs and everything else they do when you cold start them. And everyone's mad, including your neighbors, especially. Hey, Aaron. So I tried to fix the timing in them so they're not so darn aggressive at cold start, because once you put an exhaust on them, it's bad. So this is nice. I get cold start, it hit 1600 RPM, was quiet. Just a little brrr, and some little bit of turbo whistle. That was it. It was good. This is my first stream on this phone. Hi, Anton. This is my first stream on an iPhone, I think. I don't think I've been live on the iPhone yet. It's my first iPhone in like 10 years. So, can you hear me okay? Is the audio all right? Some friends of mine commented that the last video that we did with the H6 STI build, the audio quality was bad. It looks better, haha. No, that's just me. I'm losing weight. Been losing weight, working out, man. Eating better. They said that the audio quality during the interviews wasn't very good, and that's true. It wasn't. We only had a mic on the camera, and that was it. So I was thinking about ordering, thank you, Stuart, some lapel mics, you know, some wireless lapel mics. But holy good gracious, are they expensive. They aren't cheap at all. Those wireless lapel mics are, for a set of two, so it's two mics with transmitters and a single receiver that puts them both into your, you know, audio of your camera or whatever you're using. For good ones, it was like 800 bucks. And then for like middle of the road ones, it was 400 bucks, $300 to $400. And then cheap ones was 150. But you look at those cheap ones and they have all kinds of pissed off people saying how bad they are and they don't work and all of that. And so I've not bought any yet. I gotta figure out what to do. I didn't plan on spending 800 bucks on mics, so right now what I'm doing is I'm selecting my tuning parameters, since this is a 19WX. Since I reloaded everything on my laptop, I no longer had logging parameters set up for the FA20 for a 19. So that's what I'm doing right now, setting up the parameters for the 19, and then and all of that. And then while we do this, I want to chat about tuning, and I kind of want to chat about this whole Russia thing, because it's very interesting, and there are so many different points of views on it, and obviously nobody can know 100% for sure without being inside the brains of the people perpetrating these crimes on both sides, US and Russia, and NATO and everybody else. But I also wanted to spread some of the data that my friends would tell me. Somehow going to an iPhone has eliminated the swear words. Did I not swear yet? I think you're full of shit. I mean, I only swore once so far, apparently, so it probably will. No, I hope not. God, I hope not. Poor guy. Got the car, he bought it fucked up, and then we were able to fix it for him. Somebody else had already screwed with it too, because they put in a different cam sensor. It was a non-factory cam sensor in that hole, and they kind of cross-threaded the bolt that holds it in too, so yeah, somebody else had already known about it. And he bought the car from his friend, some friend, who told him, oh, just keep clearing the light. It's like, motherfucker, the cam ain't working. Like, the intake cam on that side is, oh, I said it. I said motherfucker, didn't I? Yeah. Intake cam's not working on that side, so that is not good advice. Definitely not good advice. So if someone tells you, just keep clearing that check engine light, don't do that at all. Never take that kind of advice. So I'm doing it very slowly because I'm talking, but I am just trying to get all my little parameters ready in the logger, and then we'll do some stuff. So one of the guys in the chat, he's from that area. I don't recall exactly where he's from, if it was Ukraine or Russia or Moldova or what. I know I got a couple of friends from Moldova. I got some from Ukraine. So, and then I had some Russian friends. I don't know if they're in the chat today, but a lot of people have different views and different history, let's put it that way, with Russia. My neighbor, my neighbor, he fled USSR, and he got out of Russia and came to the U.S. like a few months before it collapsed. And he fled because he and his family were being persecuted for being Christian. In Russia back then, USSR, or he called it something else. What do they call it? UCC something? I don't know. If you were a Christian, you didn't get to go to university. You didn't get to go to college, as we call it in America. If you admitted that you believed in God, then they sent you to trade schools, and you got to drive forklifts and things like that. They didn't, and you couldn't hold anything above a foreman position at any job. You couldn't be a supervisor or a manager or anything like that. The most you could be is like a small job foreman, kind of thing, and that was it. So they also would beat children at school if they said they believed in God. Yeah, religion was banned. Yeah, Anton. Where are you from, Anton? I forget. What region were you from? Let's adjust this a smidge. Can't see the screen through these windows. They're tinted, but they're foggy tint. All right. Did you tell me? From Russia. Okay. So you were from Russia. Gotcha. Yeah, so So that's funny. I got actual Russian friends, and I got Moldovan and Ukrainian and everybody else, so I like them all. So, one of the things that spurred a conversation in one of the Discord groups that I'm in is a lot of people are banning Russian teams from competitions and stuff. And I said I didn't like it. And some people were angry at me for saying I didn't like that they were banning Russian teams. And they disliked it even more when I told them why. So my opinion of it is that is hypocritical as fuck to do that. Absolutely hypocritical. Why? Because these people on these teams don't control their out-of-control government. Does that sound fucking familiar to you? That's like all of us. We don't control our out-of-control government. Like, how many of these wars have, as the entire country been like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that? Like, a fraction? You know, like, well, how would you feel if everyone started holding you accountable for everything that freaking Biden or the military did? Like, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, is it motivation to try and get you control your government back in? Yeah. But, like, who are we to try and say, oh, no, you can't hold these fucking people accountable when we don't have the balls to do it here? That's, it irritates me a lot. So, yeah, I mentioned that, and some people weren't happy with that. But, I mean, there's a lot of people that live in Russia that aren't happy there. Now, that being said, you could fucking leave. I have friends from that area because they fucking left. I know it's not easy. If you don't speak the language, it makes it a lot harder. Financials are difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. But it's still your life and no one's going to do it for you. At least that's how I see it. What's really funny about this whole thing is how everyone said that, you know, Trump's put there by Putin, and Trump loved Putin, and blah, 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 blah. Well, who was the one that pissed him off the most? Connor, look, I got another one. Holy crap. Lost my phone. Just so much fake shit all over the media. I know, dude, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. I lost Connor's message. How do I get it back? I'm from Ukraine. This video is probably the first non-war related things I clicked on since the beginning of this war. Basically noticed it is in fact related. So, yeah, I'm sorry if you didn't want to pay attention to that fucking war and then I talk about it a little bit. Keep seeing turning concepts on Naziak. What is your involvement, Dominic? Alright, let me address this second. We get Connor's message. Connor, thank you for the $10, by the way. You're dubbed from Ukraine. You think the Americans are losing their freedoms and they're not seeing why the government is capable of, exactly. This could happen to us, and it's going to happen the way we're going. 100%, absolutely. And I brought up some things like that in a conversation where I brought up history, and I brought up all these historical points, and this guy told me that I was falling for Russian propaganda. That I should watch this TikTok video so that I can learn about the war. That talking to my friends from Ukraine and Russia was irrelevant, and I shouldn't use any of the data that they provided me because it couldn't possibly help steer the thoughts or be actual factual or anything. I thought the dude was fucking kidding, to be honest with you. I thought he was kidding. Like, I talked to a lot of people in that area, and they're all wrong. But I should watch a video on TikTok from some random person on a shitty social media site to learn about this, and that the history was propaganda? What? That doesn't make any sense at all. I was so blown away. I almost made that Indeed on the internet video about it because I was so blown away at those things that he was saying. It was mind-blowing. So, okay, turning concepts question. We'll go back to that question there. Who asked that? I don't remember it. I'm sorry. So, I started DT Racing, which is Dominic Taylor. It's my first and middle name. In 2005, I had been tuning for people over at another facility in Virginia. I traveled around and tuned at various dynos in Virginia. Before that was in New York. Before that was in Hawaii. Before that was New York, and then Florida, then Idaho, and California, and a bunch of places. So I started in the 90s. But in 2005, I started DT Racing as my own thing. Instead of working for somebody, did my own thing. Did that for a while. Had a couple really shitty customers that kind of ruined it for me. And I was like, this sucks. You know, like, people are such assholes that I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So I stopped. And I got a job I was in the military still. And so I stopped that and just focused on military for a while. And then I got a job at Maxwell Propulsion Systems, right as I was getting out of the Navy. So right before I got out, back up, before I got out, about a year before, this lady called me and said I'd helped her nephew a long time ago with a Subaru, and they built Subaru engines for airplanes. And would I help them with these Subaru engines because they couldn't get them to stay together? They needed help tuning them. And I had literally the weekend before been sitting at a bar at the Ground Round or Nosworthy's Hall of Fame here in Hayden's Coeur d'Alene area, discussing putting a Subaru engine in his aircraft. He had a Stinson, and the Stinson blew the engine all over the place when it was in flight. And he was like, "What do we got to do to put a Subaru in my Stinson?" And so we've been talking about doing it. So 1 week later, on my birthday, this lady calls me and asks me if I would help them tune their airplanes, their Subaru-powered airplanes. And I was so shocked and excited at the same time. My answer was, "Fuck yes." And she laughed, and I was like, "Sorry." It's just, I was so excited about it. Like, that sounds awesome, you know? And so, fuck yes, I will. So, oops, let me set down one more thing. So I started tuning airplanes. I started helping them. What is going on here? That's not right. Helping them design and tune airplanes. Now, what was funny is my first day, I show up, they show me their facility, their engine dyno, their super engine on the dyno. I asked them to show me how all this stuff works. You know, I want to get an idea for how this engine was put together, what parts were in it, so I knew what kind of time map I should anticipate, fueling and stuff, and it was all done in Megasquirt. And I had not done Megasquirt much up to that point at all. And so I go, let me see the tune, and I open it up and I go, oh, all right, let's see the fuel map. I'm like, oh, okay, the time map, like, oh, all right, let's see, all right, select all, and I hit delete. And the dude that was working on it and his son, there was a father-son combo that were doing the tune, they both kind of went, I just fucking hit delete. I go, that's not gonna work. Then I built one from scratch, a time map and a fuel map from scratch, a VE map, estimation, and everything. And then I was like, all right, let's start this thing. And it took me like 15 minutes to fill the numbers in and get everything the shape I wanted. And we hit the fucking button. Boom, bah, wah, wah, wah. I was like, oh, it runs good. And they were like, what the? Because those guys, apparently they've been spending like 9 months working on the tune of that thing. And I was like, select all, delete. And they were freaked out a little bit. But so that was my working interview, and so they hired me. So I started working there part-time while I was in the military, and then when I got out, I went to full-time. Right after that, because I got out in 08, you know, the economy started to tank, and then it crashed. And then Maxwell Propulsion Systems, that makes airplane engine systems, went under because the people that got hit the most were the ones with like big portfolios. And so the guys that could afford the airplanes before couldn't afford that shit now, so nobody was buying airplanes or airplane engines for that matter. And so the business went under. Now, coincidentally, at the same time, my wife also left me. She got out of the military within a month or two of me, and she had some sort of crisis with her family, some father thing that she was freaking out about. And she was like, hey, I'm moving to California, and we're getting divorced, and I need you to take me to get my boobs done. It was like 3 things at once. And so I had to go get her breast done, and then she moved to California. And I was like, we're not even gonna talk about this? And she was like, no, there's no way you live in California, so there's no point in even asking you. And I mean, she was right. She was right. I was sad because I was madly in love with her. We were super happy. We had a great relationship. But she just had made this decision that she had to go to California to see her dad because he was sick, and that she was going to live down there forever, and Washington wasn't where she wanted to be. So she split. And so I went from 3-income household to 1 income to no income. And that was rough. And I had a few $1,000s saved up. And it was a do or die situation. I had a lot of debt now that I couldn't pay off. It was just fucking really bad. I thought I was going to declare bankruptcy. I ended up not. But Craig and I, who worked at Maxwell Propulsion Systems, were both out of a job. So we need to figure something out. So we started Maxwell Power Services. Using everything that I'd learned about the airplane stuff and him building engines, we started Maxwell Power Services. So we did that in, I think it was 09, I think it was February 09 is when MPS was officially started. Something like that. And I gotta turn the fans on, 1 second. Sorry. All right. So anyways, we started Maxwell Power Services, and we were largely successful. Started doing the +2mm rod stuff, doing a lot of engines that were different than everybody else, using accurate, blueprinting engines accurately, doing all that kind of stuff, having very good luck, you know, in the super thing. Also, I've always been the creative type, so I was doing custom pistons with features that Subaru's never had in pistons before. I was experimenting with geometries. I've had like 10 engines in one of my cars because all I did was just experiment all the time. Well, how's this work? What's this cam profile do? How about if I lengthen the rod here, change the compression ratio, change the disc shape, enlarge the combustion chambers, deshroud these valves, go with a bigger valve, go with a smaller valve, go with one bigger, one smaller, I mean, I did all kinds of testing. And we were successful, and we were growing a lot, and it was very hard to prevent us from growing too fast. And that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is they grow too fast. But I didn't want to grow too fast, so we did our best to keep the growth under control. But we were pumping out engines like crazy, and before IAG was a thing, they were still as a used car lot at the time. We were selling more motors than anybody. Had a backlog for a long time. It was just crazy. We were doing all kinds of stuff. Anyways, I made a lot of enemies and I made a lot of friends. I was a way better bridge burner then than I am now, and now I'm a little bit better bridge builder, but I still piss people off. It's just the way I am, I guess. Anyways, I know it's a long story, but you gotta get the background to understand what's going on. So things went well for quite a while, and then some issues started to arise. I was taking on too many tasks at once. I was doing the inventory, all the ordering, all the PR, all the customer support, all the tuning, all the engine designing, all of the research and development. I was doing the payroll, I was doing the insurance, I was doing all the billing, I was doing all the receiving, I was doing all the everything. Dave and Spencer and whoever else worked with us temporarily did wrenching and helped me with the dyno, and Craig built engines. And I just had too much on my plate, and I was getting really stressed out, and I wasn't feeling like I was getting the support I needed, you know, and that it wasn't a good partnership at the time. I was really, you know, stressed out and everything. And then I had this, I had a medical issue, and I ended up in the hospital for a week. And while I was in there, some things were said, and I decided that I'd had enough. And so I closed Maxwell Power Services, and I got employed at Turning Concepts. I talked to them. I'd done a few tuning trips to Ohio with them to tune a bunch of cars for them. them put their dyno together and a bunch of stuff. And yeah, so I went over there. I was friends with everybody, but it was a transition point for them, and I was too impatient with some of the way things were going over there, and they were too wrapped up in different parts of it, and so it didn't work out. I was always trying to help the guys out that were getting very disgruntled about how things were going, and the owners were focused on one thing, but the entire shop was focused on something else. And so I was always trying to play like middleman and help the guys out. Hey, don't be upset. This is, I was always really trying to help out and identify the issues that were going on. One time I even made like a paper, like 5-page paper with things that I felt were significant issues. And then I provided like, here's the stuff that I see, here's the evidence of it, here's some potential fixes. If you decide to go this route, it'll cost this much and use these parts. And so I went through all this stuff. I thought I was very thorough on it. And it was met with some anger and some willingness to do some of the things, but it was just a problem, and it was a hard time, for them. Like I said, they transferred to a new place. It was bigger, it was larger, had a lot more space, had a lot more overhead. They were trying to do that, plus pay me for tuning and try and get their engine build program off the ground, because they were basically taking the MPS engine designs and making them their own. So we started the beefy Badgers and or the different Badger builds, with the exception of the Honey Badger. That was the 3MI one. And then all the other beefy Badgers and baby Badgers were basically just MPS builds, with my specs, my rods, my clearances, my pistons, all that kind of stuff. And so we were getting the engine program off the ground. They didn't have a very good paperwork system for the engine building, so I brought in the forms to keep better track of all the engines, and train the guys that I could, and tried to build engines there, for them. But it was difficult. It was a hard time, that's for sure. And so eventually, I got in a fight with a customer, and essentially I was too angry, and I wasn't kiss-assy enough, and so me and management butted heads about it, and they kind of like sold me out. I felt they didn't have my back when it was the customer was clearly in the wrong by leaps and bounds. And that combined with that my daughter was over there, and she was one of the reasons I went to that area, is to be close to my kid, and my ex-wife wasn't letting me see her, and it was just a nightmare, and I wasn't happy. So I was upset because I couldn't see my kid. I was upset because I couldn't fix the stuff that was wrong. I was upset because I felt like the guys didn't have my back, even though I was always super committed, to them, to making things good for everybody and working on being a big team and all of that, and just my needs were being ignored. And so I became disgruntled, and they were mad at me for the other stuff, and so I ended up leaving, which is a bummer because I really loved everybody there. It was one of those things where I feel like if I had gone a few years later, I might still be there, because I think we all would have got along better. The initial stresses of them moving and dealing with all that stuff would have been far reduced. Trying to impart systems and controls that they didn't have yet, in association with all that stuff is very difficult and stressful. And that combined with me going, hey guys, this shit's fucked up, let's do something about it. Hey, this is fucked up, let's fix it. I think in that way I was too motivated for them, but also too impatient. So maybe too alpha. I don't know. Maybe I was too demanding or too of a leader, and they were threatened. I don't know. I honestly don't know where all the issues came from or what. But I tried really hard. And it just didn't work out. So then I tried to get a job at Cobb, helping them calibrate, and it came down to me and somebody else. And in the very end, they chose somebody else. And I was pretty bitter about that for a while, because they strung me along for months. But in the end, it was definitely the better decision, because I got to go back to college and got to finish up with 3 degrees. I got to learn SolidWorks and all that stuff. Now I'm making parts, and I'm doing cool projects, and I'm home. And that's really important to me too, is to be home again. I don't want to be in Texas, and I'm at home, and that's really good. So overall, it all worked out for the best. But it was definitely a stressful time for sure, and I feel bad that it didn't work out as well at TIC as it probably could. you know, I had to go to, oh, is that the new? I was growing tumors in my lungs. They didn't have ventilation for the dyno. They had inadequate ventilation. Well, first it was none. Then everybody got carbon dioxide poisoning. And so then they put in some ventilation, but it was still inadequate. And my body was not liking it. I was going to the VA and they were scanning my lungs. And these nodules or cysts or tumor, whatever they were growths in my lungs that were growing. And so it was like you gotta do something about it. And I kept telling the guys, we need ventilation. And it was like, it was just this big delay. It was always, you know, next week. And that was another issue too. So, and then so I left there, I came back home, and most of them are gone now. There's still a few little guys, but you know, the big stuff is gone away. So it was clearly pissed off in Ohio. My lungs were definitely pissed off. So yeah, lots of things happened, and that's why it's no longer. It's not one thing, you know. It's a bunch of things. So all right, we go back to the chat. That was a long story. I missed a lot of stuff, and I know we're back to fucking Russia again, probably, right? Ukraine, Junior STI, Turbo, Vizbits. Never had problems. Good, man. I'm glad. It's like 5 years, and they had a problem in 5 years. Hydra, Anton says, but with airplanes. Russia is a separate reality from the first Putin speech declaring war. I was shocked, basically denying existence in Ukraine as a nation going to denazify. Yeah, so, yeah, that's one thing about it. The whole denazify thing. I think the Nazi term's thrown around too much. But, and often the ones that use the Nazi term are the ones that are guilty of doing what the Nazis were doing. I don't know if Putin was using Nazi just to get the attention of the West, who throws that word around a lot, or what. All right, I think we're going to do the first little mini poll here. Wow. That can't be right. Okay. 276. That's a lot on low boost. The torque's low. First iPhone, so forget it. So I was only at partial throttle, that's why I'm so surprised. Then you can see this little mid-range spot where I was moving my foot. But 276 on low boost is interesting. Now, that being said, let's not mistake what that means. You see torque is rising through the whole power. That graph was torque, not horsepower. So you see torque is rising. That's what the boost curve looked like. On that pull, the boost started off low, and as I gave more and more throttle towards redline, the boost went up, and thus the torque went up. Now, when you crank boost up in these cars, let's see, boost at redline actually went up to 14, so it popped up really quick all of a sudden. So that's why the power with the 4 is so high, because 14 is about what you have redline on these things. Now, peak boost is different. Peak boost happens lower RPM, 4,000 RPM, that range. That's where the peak boost stuff happens. So, as I raise duty cycle and increase boost on this, it's going to just be mostly a gain in torque, the whole mid-range. You sold it and it blew it up immediately? That's fucking bizarre. That sucks. That sucks. I mean, not for you, because you sold it. Unless he tried to harass you for a long time for it, but... So anyways, yeah, so looking at the airflow, I had 260 something grams per second of air flowing into the engine, so that horsepower level makes sense. Timing's super conservative though. which is good. So I'm going to add some duty cycle. It was clean. There was no knock during the pull. Air fuels looked really good. You saw the air fuel trace on the dyno there. Air fuels look good. So I'm going to keep them up at the mid-range and all of that. And eventually the top end will come with it. Or we'll get to the top end too. Let's see. All right. Anyways, so if you think about the boost curve, on this one, the boost curve went like this, went up, and in the real world, when the cars are finally tuned, the boost curves usually go up and then decay. So this endpoint, though, is usually the same. They're going up or decaying, right? It's the same thing. So the top end horsepower is going to be the same, but we're going to raise everything below it. So I'm adding, just added some duty cycle to the wastegate, and we're going to do a pull. I'm going to do full throttle this time as well, because that's going to help. And I didn't want to do full throttle immediately, so make sure the fuel is going where it's supposed to go, make sure the boost is responding correctly. Didn't want to have this high boost scenario, lean, or anything like that, and it wasn't. Everything was really good. So now I'm actually going to give it full throttle and do a full pull and see what we get out of it. Get you a little view here. Alright, so now you see what I mean. Zoom in on this. See, the red was the initial one, and the green is what I just did. Obviously, huge gains in torque that look a lot like the boost curve. That's kind of what these things do, right? They tend to make the torque and the horsepower curve tend to look, the torque and the boost curve tend to look very similar. And that's, for obvious reasons. It's not obvious, well, that's because boost is representative of the air density in the engine, and when you have more air density, they tend to make more torque. Now, volumetric efficiency aside, that's pretty true. As you change VE, different geometries, and that kind of stuff, there's slight results. But in general, it's especially for a factory engine like these, you're going to get the VE that's based on, air density, and torque curve based on the boost. So that thing, 285 wheels, made more wheel, and obviously made a fuck whack more torque because that's actually full throttle and giving more boost. Wow, okay. So let's see, timing. Oh, I gotta zoom out so you guys can see this correctly, huh? Alright, I was doing two things at once. I didn't even look to see if there's any indicated knock, but you'll see timing's 1 degree, 0 degrees, half a degree, around 3,500, so not a lot of timing on it. It stays pretty flat actually at 5,000. I only have 3 degrees on it. 55, 4, 6,000 is 5 degrees. 65 is 7.5, and then it ramps up pretty quickly as it goes towards red line up to 11. So that's a pretty conservative ignition curve on these. There was no knock in there, as you also probably saw. And everyone always talks about the piss bottle next to the dyno laptop. It's not fucking piss. Every time. But only because everyone keeps talking about it, I'm not getting rid of it. It's really Chase's energy drinks that he puts in there with the Mio stuff or whatever. Alright, so the boost basically is only 35%-ish, somewhere in there. You'll see turbodynamics, the error here is very low. Less than a pound, so that means we're getting really close to our targets. We got a pound right there, it's off a little bit. About a pound there. So it's not too bad, we're hitting our targets pretty closely, but it looks like our wasted duty is maxed out in the map, and so we're able to quite get it full on. But with that conservative timing and the power that it made, I'm really happy with that. That's good news. That's safe for these cars. Let's go to the correction and see how far off the MAF calibration and the VE is. So it looks like it was pulling about 5 to 7% through most of the run. And I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with that. I like that. I'd much rather these two have to pull fuel than add it. because if this thing happens to pop an open loop or something, and all of a sudden it runs lean, that would be bad in the boost. Now down here at the bottom end, it's at about 7 to 10% as my foot changes position, so you can tweak with that a little bit, but we need to go through those areas and see what's going on. Cam timing, calculated load, it's 2.7, 2.8, 2.9. Looks like 2.9 is where it peaked out at. It's pretty high calculated load for this thing. It did all right. All right. That actually is really good. It's actually so good that there's not a whole lot to do other than just polish some things up a smidge. Let me check some chat real quick before I bury my face in the laptop again. We'll do a tuning orbs, of course. Yeah, 5 degrees, no balls. Well, you're right then. I have no balls. I had it for 3 weeks. Calls me saying that puking oil coolant on the highway. Oh man. Put a front mount on it without changing tuning. Right. So if you change the intake calibration, the MAF would be way off. Especially when you do a bigger MAF, like a lot of guys do. They'd be like, oh, I got a 3-inch intake on here. And then that runs lean with a lot of extra timing. That will do all kinds of bad stuff. Let's see. Just add more timing and be done with it. That's what they did to your Corvette, Igor. I should tell people about that. Igor, my friend Igor from Moldova, he's one of them. He he bought a really nice Grand Sport, and that Grand Sport had a supercharger on it and built motor. But it wasn't right. Something was wrong with it. It smelled like burnt oil all the time, and so he said, "Screw it! I want a nice Corvette. I don't want a Corvette that smells like oil." So he pulled it all apart and found the built engine was just hammered. It only had a few thousand miles on it, but it was hammered inside. And looking at what we saw, it appeared the tolerances were just, the clearances were just wrong. Clearances, not tolerances. Tanner, one of his videos says, measuring your engine tolerances. Ah! It's clearances. So anyways, we assumed that the clearances were just wrong on the build or something because it was so fucked up internally. And then last night he pulled the tune off the ECU and sent it to me. And I laughed when I opened it up because it was so bad. So here's an engine, a built motor on California 91 octane with a blower on it with a smaller pulley for higher boost. They did lower the compression ratio a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. It had more timing than the factory engine had, high loads. It had about 12 degrees less timing than the factory engine had at low loads in cruise. But then it had 15 more degrees timing at idle. It was 23 degrees on the top end. Oh, right, because that's the magic number that the internet tells you all the time. That's right. You're smart, Travis, you're smart. Let's see. Yeah, because that's the internet. Internet says, I think it was 23. Let's look. Let's do it together. Fuck it, let's look. I gotta show you what else they did. They did more than just that, all right? So that's just the start. It wasn't just the timing. But that was obviously a significant factor. This is a... All right, which one's gonna open up? Okay, the stock one is gonna open up, and then I'm gonna compare it to Igor's. So I have a stock C6 Grand Sport on here, and I got that off of Chase's Corvette when he got it because it was bone stock. And here's Igor's. All right, so we're gonna go to the timing, spark, advance, high octane, and Igor's map. It's hard to see with all the colors. No, it's not 23, I'm wrong. So they actually had 16 down here at the bottom. Okay, it's a little different than I recall it being. Am I looking at the right one? Oh, maybe I'm screwing this up. Hold on a second. Let me switch this around. I'm going to open Igor's map first so I can see that one and then compare it to the stock one. So it looks like I was wrong about the timing, about the high load timing. And we'll compare it to the stock one. But what you will see is what they did to the knock control system. It's really super impressive. Oh, that's the wrong folder. Hey Igor, there's your C5 tune. There you go. C6 stock. Alright, so high octane. Yeah, so they actually had 16 down here in the low load area, or high load area, so I was wrong there. Let's compare it. So they had 10 degrees less in the low loads. It was the medium load area that I saw. When I initially looked at the tune, it was scrolled up a little bit, but still, at this 1.0 area, they had significantly more timing, 10 degrees, and then they had less up top. So that part's okay. That part's okay. That's not so bad. It's still a little more than it probably should have for that much boost. But check this out. This is the best part. Here we go. This is multipliers for the knock threshold. 8. Now factory 3, 4 change, whatever. They just set this shit straight to fucking 8. Holy shit. So they literally doubled the amount of noise, or more, nearly triple. Oh, here it's fucking quadrupled the amount of noise that it takes to trigger a knock event. The engine wasn't that loud. Alright, a little bit for piston slap, and that's it. But they also dumbed down the knock sensor. They also knock retard. They only gave it 1 degree of authority for that area. They gave it 5 degrees up top though, so that was something. But factory's 10, so they cut how much retard can be pulled by half. Let's see. What was the other one? They disabled another spot. Look at all the burst knock. It's all zeroed. They zeroed out all the burst knock stuff, so that no longer functions. The recovery rate. This was really good too. Is this the one that was really bad? No, this one wasn't a really bad one. This one but they made it come in 6 times faster. So as it pulls time, it adds it back 6 times faster. That's, that's fucking logical. What else did I see that was really bad? This one? Oh yeah, totally zeroed out that knock retard. Zeroed out that knock retard. Zeroed out the multiplier for the knock retard. They just basically removed all the knock retard. Then they did a really awesome job with power enrichment. They just kind of molested the map. The straight lines. Like, okay, sweet. RPM delay, no RPM delay. Oh, when do we want it to come in? 10% fucking throttle, 5% fucking throttle. So this thing probably got horrendous gas mileage because it was continuously in freaking open loop. Minimum map 34. That's below idle. What's idle? Oh, I was already 15, so I guess it's all right. They raised it up some. I'll give them that then. They didn't fuck that one up so bad. But yeah, get rid of the delay, change the setting down to 5%. They just did things that wrong and made this shit super dangerous. The knock control being the worst part, obviously. Let's see, anything else that they did? They did lots of stuff. I'm just curious, anything else that I missed that was scary. Oh, I bet they did this, right? Yep. It's right there. Yeah. Wow. Really? Let's see the bias. They zeroed out the fucking air temp bias. Wow. Okay. Oh, fuck. This is the charge temperature bias. So what's crazy about this is that means that charge temp now is always whatever the IAT says. It doesn't matter what coolant temp is or anything. They just completely zero that out. Yeah. What else did they fuck up? Oh, I love this too. I love when people do ridiculous idle timing. I don't understand the idle timing idea. Here we go. Not that spot. so they have this transition point here. Where's this one? No, that's not it. That's not the one. Where'd it go? Oh, there it wasn't. Oh, right there. There you go. Add a bunch of timing to the idle. Why? That's not what they take to make them idle better. I mean, it can work, but that's not what you're supposed to do. That's not how you make these things idle better. And did they kill the underspeed, or they multiply it by 1,000,000? Wow, they added a bunch to it. 30 degrees. Holy shit. Is that worth speed or underspeed? Wow, they actually left the underspeed mostly alone. I'm surprised by that. That's fine. That's whatever. Oh yes, this is gonna be great. Ready? Ready? I know this is gonna be the fucking like 2. Oh wow. Wow, I'm actually impressed by that. This is a map that most people molest in the wrong way and blow motors with. I'm actually surprised by that. Well, good for them. I mean, it sucks that they got rid of all this protection here. I mean, for example, at 130 degrees, it's not pulling 4 degrees anymore. That's not a good idea because you need to pull timing here. Like, this timing retard is there for a reason. So I don't know why they did it here. That's a very bad idea. But I'm impressed that they pulled extra here. That's actually surprised me. What else? What's the low octane map look like? They actually put it closer to stock. Wow. Cool. Well, not everything was fucked up, so that's good. But a lot of stuff was. Why did they zero up piston slap? Spark advance. If they raised the knock because supposedly they had more piston slap. I don't know. That's what seems kind of odd to me. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So 8 times, or 8 on the multiplier, 4 times higher than stock in some areas. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Now, you can definitely adjust these multipliers a little bit and do some things to make them run right, but that is that's basically just preventing the knock control system from doing anything. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Alright, I need to look at my log, but I need to graph some stuff on the log. So I need to open the log up. Documents, Tuner Pro, Subaru. Come on. I got a little waviness on the exhaust here. Step changes. I mean, the maps have step changes from the factory, and if the dyno graph shows a step change in that area, then I don't want that step change. But it looks pretty flat through that region. Let's see. Let me check the chat 1 second. I was looking at all that stuff here. Let's see, back up. It's not going on 93, engine is 10 F1. Wow, that's pretty high. How does stock ECU calculation calculate charge temp? Just like you see in the M-Tron on a lot of ECUs where it's a blend factor. But for the Subaru, I honestly don't know because I've never seen a charge temp estimation table on the Subaru at all. Whether it exists or not, I don't know the answer to that. Every log that we display always shows just the IAT, and it's always seemed that it just uses the IAT, which isn't correct, and I believe that's why there's so many engines that get blown up. That's what I've been saying for years. I think that's the #1 cause of engine failure on the EJ is the intake air temp's not measured post-intercal, it's measured pre-turbo, and then that and the cooling on cylinder 4 blow these things up like crazy. Now let's see. I put a K24 on my 13 FRS with a boost slab, 3 bar, all the turbo makes about 40 horse with a Mustang dyno, and a flat 360 torque the whole curve. That sounds pretty awesome, honestly. I'm excited for the new 24, the FA20 in the FRS. That should be a little more fun. Puts the boost on too, because the 24 is such a stout little motor. And obviously the K24 is a very stout motor. That's really awesome, dude. That's what this Knockdown 93 octane. That makes sense. Okay. Is it worth tuning a 2.5 RS? No. I only say no because there isn't a good way to tune them. So it's not something you can just reflash easily unless they've changed that in the last couple of years. But last I recall, nobody had any way of decoding the ECU or flashing it. If that's changed, that'd be great. I really enjoyed your life story. Thank you for sharing. My life story? That ain't my life story. That's just a portion of my tuning story. But yeah, you're very welcome. I have done more things in 44 years than most people do their entire life, so there is a lot to go on in my life story, let me tell you. Is that Clint's map? That's Igor's map. I hope it's good. Yeah, I hope so too, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a cool little motor. So, alright, I think I caught up on all the comments. If I didn't, if I missed some, I apologize. Let me go back some. Oh, Travis knows some of the, yeah. Oh, lots of you talking about Russia while I was telling my story. Oh, I'll start with the Nazi thing. I thought that maybe he was just using that to capture the attention of people, because that's the big thing, right? Like, he says, Americans don't like Nazis, so I say Nazi, you know? I don't know what, 05 2.5 RS. Yeah, you can tune those. I actually used to be able to do those with an access port. Doing a book. You know, God damn it. A lot of people have asked me that question over the years because I have done so much. I've been to so many countries. I've lived in 38 houses in 10 states. I've been tuning since 91. I'm a pilot. I've been skydiving. I've flown helicopters and airplanes. I flew a small airplane across the country a couple times. That was a fun adventure. I've flown our superpowered aircraft across the country and stuff. I've raced motocross and quads and street bikes and cars on track, on drag strips. I've done a lot of shit. I was on nuclear submarines, obviously, so I've been underwater a long ways for a long time. I've deployed Navy SEALs in places, helped assemble the team. A lot of stuff over the years, for sure, that I've done, and it's been an eventful life, that's for sure. I've had kids. I've had alcohol in places I shouldn't have had alcohol, and I have messed around with women I probably shouldn't have messed around with in places where I was having alcohol. I probably shouldn't have had it in various countries. I have, obviously I've owned a business. I have done a lot of stuff. I have been terrible to people, and I've been extremely kind to people. It's just one of those things that happens, I guess, with life. So, do I have a favorite short block or turbo for the street with a short block that looks like one of mine, basically? You know, I think I could keep Rogue entertained. Honestly, with the amount of stuff that I've done, I think I could probably keep him entertained. Keep him asking questions. Mass airflow looks really good. I'm really good with that. Let me turn that off. Boost looks really good. Everything looks really good. I'm really happy with that. It's the FAs are known for their data scatter. They're really bad. I'm not sure if it's the high sampling rate or enough filtering or whatever, but they get really jittery lines. And so for an FA, this is smooth through a log. This looks really good. Yeah. Hit 19 pounds, tapered down to 14 by red line. Man, everything looks good. See the horsepower curve looks like. See the spot I need to dress. There isn't. I feel bad, but I think I just tuned the car in 2 poles. Look at that. Ain't worried about that. Favorite turbo. So, when it comes to turbo, it depends on what your goals are. Goals obviously dictate what you're going to choose for a turbo. I really like, this is going to sound stupid, I really like the 16 GXT with 8-centimeter housing, not the ball bearing one, the regular one. For some reason, there's something about that turbo, it's really well balanced. It spools faster than the stock and makes like fucking 100 more horsepower than the stock. It's stupid. On our dyno at least, almost 100. It definitely seems to perform more than its flow rating is, which is very uncommon. I don't know. The 18s are really good too. It's a simple turbo. They're really nice. For larger than that, the Dom15 is pretty good. But honestly, lately they haven't been performing very well. I don't know if it's a manufacturing thing or what. Oh, and I want to tell you guys about that actually. Block pissed me off. No, and I don't think I ever will. I don't, yeah, no, I won't. Those fuckers in Illinois, right? Don't even get me started on that. So, no, I don't, I won't. So, one thing about me is that I am extremely loyal. I'm extremely loyal, and I will stick by and defend and promote the people that are good, plain and simple. But I'm also vicious, and if you betray me or the people that I love, you will get the wrath, plain and simple. And if you're a person that I love and you betray me, I will hold you fucking accountable. And I expect the same. I expect people to hold me accountable too. And so for that, I have to say that I'm really fucking pissed off at Block right now, because they try to charge us a restocking fee on the turbo. It's their fucking product. They're gonna fucking sell it. We support them all the time. Almost every car we tune has either their turbo or Garrett turbo on it. Everyone that asks what turbo to run, I say a 1618 or 1.5. I mean, I influence lots of people every day about what turbo to choose, and that's usually my answer. And then they go this fucking petty nickel and dime fucking restocking fee bullshit on not me, but on tier 1. I heard about that and I was angry. And Chase like, oh, whatever, you know, it's no big deal. We'll find someone to sell the turbo to. Well, we're not going to return it because we're going to pay $100-something for restocking fee on the turbo. You know, but it's their fucking turbo. You know, and the fact that they'd be so petty as to do that, that instantly makes me not want to ever use or recommend their product ever again. That's fucking bullshit. That is an absolute shit way of doing business. You know, like 15 to 30 cars a month minimum have their turbos just because of what I said. Minimum. and they're gonna pull that kind of BS. That just fucking irritates the shit out of me. So that was today. That's a today thing. All right, let's see. I'm gonna do another poll. Actually, I'm gonna a little more duty cycle to it because it was just below targets. Well, yeah, it was just below targets, so I had a little more duty cycle to it. I don't know if it's gonna respond favorably, but I think it's worth a shot. Oops. Okay, so the reason it didn't get full duty cycle was because my low table wasn't high enough. The high table was fine, but the low table wasn't. And so you have what's a maximum integral value. So the most that the ECU can add to the initial table. The Cobb calls it low, and it's not really low. What it really is initial. It's more of an initial position. They call it the low, but it's really the initial position. And so from the initial position, it's allowed to add X amount of percent to it. And that percentage is an integral. And an integral is a value that builds up over time based on boost error over time. It's updated at so many cycles per second based on the system that you have. So like on the H6 STI, I think I have it set to 25 hertz is what it updates at. I think that's what it was. It's a 30 hertz solenoid. That's a different thing. That's the operational frequency of the solenoid. But I have the update rate, I think, at 25 hertz. But you can change that on aftermarket stuff. Factory's got its set update rate. So if you have an integral value, it's the amount of percent that's added to the existing wastegate duty cycle based on the error every so many milliseconds is what that's about. So you can limit that. And I had it at 10. Trash control. Gotta turn that off. Trash control and a little bit of boost oscillation. So I'll make sure that's off. Just that. So I had the maximum integral amount set at 10, which allowed 10% over the initial, and then that wasn't enough. The maximum was actually set at 40 something, but because the integral allowance was 10 over 24, it only went to 34. So I can either increase the allowance, or I can raise the initial. Sorry, I saw some numbers that were perplexing to me. It over boosted. I don't remember adding that much to it though. I only added a few percent. How did I do that? Interesting. I see it now. I see it. I seen it. I need to start wearing my glasses when I'm tuning. Oh, it made a lot more torque, let me tell you. Holy shit. Alright, let's try this again. Let's double check that RPM that happened at. Right here. Okay. Alright, let's try it again. That one didn't feel as clean. I felt a little to it. It wasn't knock. It just didn't feel as clean. So let's see. Oh, it went really rich. That's weird. Commanded fuel final was quite a bit richer than it normally is. I must have tripped a load because I went so high, the extra boost. Changed the load and I tripped me into a different fueling mode. So you double check that. That is well above that. That's weird. The dam didn't drop. I don't see a single fuel table that has that rich of a target. That's weird. Let's check. Yeah.
Like the new ski?
My pocket, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all about you getting up in there.
Wrong pocket, other pocket.
Front pocket.
The center one.
The center one. The one that has the lollipop on it. There you go.
Another brick in the side.
Yeah. I did. So I went to a higher load cell, and that tripped into the richer closed loop final portion of the map, or commanded fuel final portion of the map. So I tweaked that a smidge, and that one unfortunately is not real time, so I got to reflash that one. Any questions I can answer while this is reflashing? I need a tune for. Is there a tune needed for crank pulleys? My pulley? Oh, the green speed one. That's weird. The green speed one's pretty heavy. Not as heavy as mine, but pretty heavy. So no, you shouldn't need that. But yeah, I don't know about that. Typically, you don't. You can't get a vehicle. It's right here. Working this time? Weird. Alright, I'm gonna reset the access port. I just updated the access port today, so it's not that. Obviously I flashed earlier with it, so it shouldn't be that. Alright, the computer's not even trying. Export locked up. Access tuner locked up on me. That never happens. My changes didn't save. What the fuck? Oh. You opened the wrong map. Okay. Try this again. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try it again. There it goes. Wow, that was painful. Didn't want to flash. Real painful. Make a video about the blout. I don't recall, honestly. I might have tuned it on the dyno and been like super surprised. Because it made like 370 wheel on pump cast with a top mount. Which never happens. That was crazy. And I actually got out and checked the turbo again. I was like, are you sure that's the right turbo? It was a stupid amount of power. And then we did another one, and just, I don't recall what it made, but it was a lot. And it was just, it was better than the freaking Dom15s are sometimes. And I was like, oh, this is really, really something. So I want to do another one, and there was a car that I was supposed to tune the other day. Something failed on the car. I don't recall what it was now. I'm thinking about what it was. God, I can't remember now. It was a couple weeks ago because I took a week and a half off with the wife. Yeah, but I was tuning on the dyno, and I might have got a pull out of it, and then something was wrong. Oh, it started making noise. That's what it was. It was the cam. What's going on? Sorry, I don't know why. I mean, my phone's getting hot. Waiting game. Is it hot? Let's see. It's not warm. My phone's not warm. This is a new iPhone, man. These things are great, I guess. At least that's what I've been told a million times. But it's not warm. I'm waiting for the O2 sensor to wake up. You can't do a pull without the car in a closed loop. There you go. Finally warmed up. All right, let's do a pull. Let's do a pull. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna show you guys this screen during the pull, but to do that I gotta start the log, put my hand back on the wheel, and do all that stuff. So give me a second. Log started. Felt a little better. Feels good though. I think it doesn't like the higher boost. I think that's what this is going to turn out to be. Turn it up sometimes, they just don't like it. There's too many lines on the screen though. I got to pull one up. Come on. Yeah, it's really wavy. It's really, really wavy. I don't know why. So I got to check the boost and see if that's why. Yeah. Alright, let's go back to the other stuff. It was way better before. Power went up. But the boost is all wonky. Or the torque is all wonky. Is that boost? It is. That is weird. It's really fluctuating. And all I did was add a little bit of duty cycle to it. It's weird. I wonder if I lower back down if it'll still fluctuate. It's pretty appreciable oscillation too. That's weird. Because typically the things I change had nothing to do with that. So I'm changing right now is I'm turning down the integral authority. Not the total amount of integral authority, the rate at which it updates it. We talked about that earlier. So I want to figure out if the oscillation is due to the integral being too active or is due to the proportional being too active. These don't have a derivative as far as we know, so I need to figure out which one it is. If it still is really wonky, then that means that I probably pop the hood and see if a hose came off or something. Well, they pulled it like ours in. I wonder if they remember they're giving me a ride home. So. Always rev a cold engine right after you start it. Especially hot engines, you gotta rev it. I mean, if you don't rev it after you start it, you're not a fuckboy. So you gotta make sure that as soon as you fire it up, you just redline the thing. And then let off. That's what should happen every time. Hopefully you like my sound effects because they're super accurate. Hey, what's SRH? What is that? Is that the fucking auto headlights or something? The high beams or some shit? I don't think I've ever seen that light before, ever. And seeing as how his other headlight thing is on over here, because he has some aftermarket headlights, I have a feeling that's like something to do with like the automatic high beams or some shit. I don't know. Do we know what SRH means? That's a fucking new one to me. Steering responsive headlights. Ah. These have that? I didn't know WRX has had that. Oh, the Brembos, huh? Okay. Woo! Bright lights. Alright, let's see what this graph is. Well, load it. A little better. Still not right though. It's got that FA power drop off. That's supposed to be on. I didn't have earlier. Now I have. Thus is the FA life, I guess, right? Boost system is really sensitive. I mean, it's only changing like 2%, and it's inducing a little bit of an oscillation with 2%. That's crazy. That is crazy. Wait, what? So, dude.
Stock color?
Yeah, I think these came in this color. I don't know. This might be painted or wrapped. I don't know. I know they did have a weird color like this a couple years.
I was gonna say, it just looks, I don't know, a little unique for being just the color of the car, I guess.
I get this fucking tune done. Gotta do it. Gotta get done so we can fuck out of here. Let's try it again. Better? Should work. What I do? I actually dropped the wastegate duty cycle towards redline. It was too aggressive. It was trying too hard to keep the turbo spooled up, and it's causing a lot of back pressure. And these engines don't like that. So as it got closer to redline, dumped a bunch of duty cycle out of it, and all of a sudden power came back. Works for me. And I hope it works for this guy too. So review that log, make sure there's nothing crazy going on. Check the timing curve. It's actually still pretty conservative. I could probably technically add a little bit of timing towards redline. And it might pick up a teeny bit more up there, but these things are so sensitive, it's not really worth it to push them that hard just to get a little bit of bump at the end of the graph or something. It's not really, it's not what I like doing. But, I mean, it does only have 2 degrees at 5,000 and 3 degrees at 55. So if I bumped it up from 55 and up, even from 45 or 5,000 and up, it might carry even more. No, that's real time, so I can just do that really quick and see if it takes it or not. Take it. Let's go half a degree. These are super, like, super sensitive. I don't want to go too crazy with them. Let's see what happens. Doesn't look like it helped much. Let's find out. Okay. Helped a little bit. Should be fun. All right, I gotta end this, so I want to do so first again by thanking Connor for the donation. I appreciate it. All this money goes towards R&D. Well, not all of it. Obviously, I have to live off some of it too, but the rest of it goes towards R&D and builds and shit. So I'm hoping that I can keep creating really cool products. The dry sump is still being worked on right now. We do some small changes to some things, make sure that it stays aligned. So we're still working on the prototype. The drawings are done, but we're making small changes to the drawings to make it a more secure, solid object. The AOS is done as far as design is concerned. We haven't started production on that yet because my machinist, he's been super busy. Super busy. They've had to hire new guys. His main focus at that machine shop is building the parts for his dad's business. His father passed away, unfortunately, and so he had to take that business over too. And since he took it over and implemented some new things, controls and that kind of stuff, they've actually had almost a double or triple increase in production rate. But also because the COVID thing is starting to end, the orders have gone through the roof, and so they've had a ton of orders. And so unfortunately, since that's his primary, I am his secondary. And so a lot of my stuff gets delayed for those reasons, which is fine. I want to see him succeed, so it just slows down my projects a little. But if he's successful and my stuff is just kind of, some side stuff, then that means sometimes he can get better rates. So that's good. So that means I get past savings on you guys or make the stuff cheaper. For example, my battery tie downs, they're not cheap, they're expensive, unfortunately. And I wish I could have made them a lot cheaper, but because I made them complex with more operations than anybody else's battery tie downs, they're more expensive. And material costs have gone through the roof too. If you haven't seen the tie down, it's actually really sweet. I'm gonna make a video on it to show you how neat it is, because I want people to see that you can make something as simple as a tie down become even more simpler and elegant and easier to use than the factory one. So not only is it better looking, it's easier to use, and that's really cool about it. So I want to show you guys that. And then I got a bunch of other projects that I want to give away yet that are done. I just have to test a couple more things on them, and then they're ready to be released, or at least let you guys know they exist, and then they're in the queue to be produced. So my first only dress-up part is coming out. The tie-down is a dress-up part, but it has functionality improvements, and that was the problem that I solved with it. But one of them that I'm coming out with is strictly for dress up. It's the first thing that I've ever done that was strictly for dress up, and nobody else has made it yet. So I'm the only one that I know of that has made this part. So it'll be cool, and that's why I haven't told anybody about it yet, because I want to make sure I get together. So thank you very much for the support. Thanks for hanging out and watching me fight with one of these FAs, because that's how they usually fight. And I hope that you enjoyed some of the stories. I got a lot more stories to tell. I thought about some today that I wanted to tell today, but I just had to tune this car, you know? I had to tune this car and get it done. So, hey, Kenneth, I'm closing the stream right now, dude. I hope you got your stuff. You should be getting it soon if you haven't. Yeah, so thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Share my videos. If you haven't seen the H6 video, look at the H6 STI video. It's like 8.5 minutes long. It's the first episode of the 2-week H6 build that we did. It's a really cool video. I think it's got good production. I changed the song in it. It's like that a little better. And that's it. But it's a good time, and it makes me laugh. There's a couple spots in it that are just, I think, funny. And of course I'm laughing at myself, so I don't know if that's narcissistic or what, but I think it's pretty funny. And then if you listen closely to some of the background chatter in the video, there's some Easter eggs in there. So some little hidden gems that are pretty good. So anyways, thanks guys, I appreciate it. Have yourselves a good night, and if I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend.